It happened every year during long weekend in September. That's when all the planes, little planes, start flying around Nunavut and NWT collecting kids at camps. As soon as you hear that plane coming around, you know what was going to happen. Some of them hide, run away. But the parents were always threatened if their kids didn't get on that plane. And of course, most of us kids were gone from the little communities and camps. No more kids. All you could hear was mothers, grandmothers crying.
As Governor General, I witnessed the apology by His Holiness Pope Francis to Indigenous peoples in Canada on their land for the pain caused by residential schools. This morning, we were gathered to honor every child who attended a residential school, every Indigenous person who lived with the trauma, every family that experienced and still is experiencing intergenerational trauma. But we're also honoring the resilience of Indigenous peoples, the survivors, the advocates who would not be silenced, and who tell the truth of our history. We must never again let anyone, not Indigenous people, not anyone, suffer the consequences of racism and inequality. As others have spoken their language here today, I am also proud to speak in my own mother tongue, Inuktitut. Tamakwa inu nunakasimayu hatibut, puyong niangittabut, pinagluto tasimaningit isumagilugit ammalu ukaw sitinik, asiwigia hanginitinik pinaswaga halarigatta.
Uvanga Navalik Tologanak. I was born in Cambridge Bay, Nunavut, and before the town was ever built, so I was born in the old part of town in Cambridge Bay. And my mother is Rosie Nokwahak Kailek. She was a Kailek from Reindeer Station in NWT, just between Inuvik and Tuktoyaktuk, where that reindeer station is. My dad, Johnny Tologanak, he was a special constable with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. My parents were hard workers, and we had 11 biological siblings, and my mother adopted one girl. I'm named after my grandfather, Navalik for short. Missionaries like Bishop Stringer began visiting Inuit. In the 1920s, Inuit began attending Anglican or Roman Catholic Church. I'm one of the survivors of the residential school legacy. We were all taken to a residential school in Inuvik, which is hundreds of miles west. So I went to that school for 9 years, and then 3 more years another residential school in Yellowknife. In Inuvik, I stayed at the Anglican-run hostel, Stringer Hall. Other schoolmates stayed at Grolier Hall, which was run by the Catholic Church. These are sketches by Susan Ross from Pawn Inlet, 1971. Oh, the old planes that used to fly to the camps. Pick up kids. This kind of planes we were picked up on. These sketches are so recognizable, you could tell who they are. because in small communities, everybody knows each other. Some of these, it's like he's sitting there in pajamas at a sanatorium. We were all dressed the same. We all had the same pajamas, the same beds, the flannel sheets. We all had our haircuts. I was just 3 years old. I was put in a big crib, and that's where I grew up for 1 year. Could hear babies crying all the time. Then when you go home, your little sisters and brothers saying, "Mom, who's that?" And that's me, the oldest sister that was sent away. They didn't recognize me. So I was gone so long. You can hear the same story with many other Inuit. Same story. Didn't recognize your own little sister who was born when you were away in residential school, and you didn't even know your own grandparent or parents passed away because they never told you.
My name is Agnes Rubin, and I live in Palateka, Northwest Territories. We're on our way to see the Pope.
Yeah, my name is Rubin, my wife Agnes. I'm also on my way to Iqaluit to see the Pope also and get some good understanding and learn a little more for our people.
Some of the people that we meet were from the East. That must have been so hard for them to go so far away. With the religions, it kind of separated people and created anger like this. We're Catholics and we're Anglicans. And sometimes it was tough on our people. Nice day to start our trip over there.
I got this made, of course, in orange to remember the kids. That's why I chose this color, so I can think of my schoolmates and all the kids that were lost. These wooden spools, they were my mother's and they were empty, but I kept them and I filled them up with sinew so I can sew when I'm traveling.
My mother and grandmother were very experienced and very talented seamstresses. I was never taught, because I didn't spend any time with my parents, my mom, my grandmother. We were always in school, so we didn't know how to sew. My son Julian, he's always with me. I wanted to be with the elders. I was really happy to see the survivors and the Inuit, both young and old, come to Iqaluit to see the Pope. What color you want? I'll save this for someone special. I cried for the survivors. I cried for those that were severely abused. And many survivors have lived a very tough life because of what happened to them in residential schools and where they were abused by priests and nuns.
and school teachers, fellow students. I cried for my people. I cried for my elders. I cried for my family, my parents, my grandparents. Just remembering everybody that's been through a tough times throughout their lives because of residential school and how we were forced away from home when we were so little. We were together for a few moments that day. The Pope heard testimony from several survivors and the story of Teresa Ukanealuk. Her daughter Marie Yvonne was 4 years old when she was sent from her home in Igloolik to a residential school in Chesterfield Inlet. She died 4 years later from tuberculosis and was buried in an unmarked grave in Quebec.
Hace poco escuché a varios de ustedes
I listened to several of you who are students of residential schools. I thank you for having had the courage to tell your stories and to share your great suffering that I could not imagine. This only renewed in me the indignation and shame that I have felt for months. Today, too, in this place, I want to tell you how very sorry I am and to ask for forgiveness for the evil perpetrated by not a few Catholics who in these schools contributed to the policies of cultural assimilation and enfranchisement. I was reminded of the testimony of an elder who spoke of the beautiful spirit that reigned in indigenous families before the advent of the residential school system. He compared those days when grandparents, parents, and children were harmoniously together to springtime, when young birds chirp happily around their mother. But suddenly, he said, the singing stopped. Families were broken up, and the little ones were taken far away from home. Winter fell over everything.
We have to continue to show that we want to reconcile and to heal. The main thing is to heal. And we want reconciliation to happen. And it's slowly happening now, and I'm happy. You know, I'm an elder and a grandmother now, and it's finally happening in my lifetime while I'm still alive.
Can you see me? I'm so short. Udlakud Meli, Kwana Ilaugavit, Kwana Kaigafi, Nancy Irene, Mika, Nunavut and NWT, Kwana Inuit Ilaugamik Hamunga, Kuvehuk Tunga Kaigafi. Good morning. I'm from Cambridge Bay, Nunavut, and I'm part of the steering committee that's leading this historical mourning to set the site of the monument, which will represent the Inuit survivors, those who have gone and those who are still here, and for our grandchildren and great-grandchildren to come and be welcomed to a special place. Puigok tailugit, dakot, tiguyaw yun. Uvagot, tamapta, tigugawagapta, yalunaymon, inuvingmon, nanilikya, humilikya, puigok tailuhe.
It's when we gather together, it's like we need to talk together, cry together, heal together, and that's a good start. And I hope it continues, that our healing journeys continue for the rest of our lives, because it really helps to heal and makes you feel better too about what happened when you were little. You need to do healing programs and treatment programs, get all the facilities built. If it costs money, it'll cost money. Let the Vatican and the Catholic churches and, let them pay for it, because it's kind of their fault, and the Canadian government for forcing us to go to residential schools.